Okay, again, we'll bring this 5 o'clock meeting to order. Yep, I want to make sure everybody heard.
Hello?
I know who's in charge. And I believe we're going to have Kevin talk to us about our projects.
Yeah, so the whole point of this would be to because we always have that question, where are we and what have we finished? So we're going to go through everything that we've done so far and what we have to complete. And then at the end, we're looking at the next half that we haven't sold yet to see what we're going to do next, because we've got some decisions to make because we can't afford all of it. So we're probably going to have to break it up. And that's what we'll talk about right now. So Kevin's going to walk us through the slides. And
So hold on, let me ask you, the project's half, we've already approved, but we haven't.
correct.
Funded.
We haven't sold the bonds, we've been approved for them. So we have $4 million ready to go.
Okay.
And we do have the potential to get more for down the road. So
We have to approve those.
we will have to go through the whole approval process again for the next round. But the other $4 million is approved.
Okay, thank you.
Right here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to come in and walk through this today. Again, I apologize, I've been a little under the weather, so I'm going to have my handy water here to keep me rolling. Initially, we had this similar presentation back December of 22. It was before we got into or just started pulling things together, and this much like this process of prioritizing what the scopes would be for would become the 3 projects that we're finishing up with the chiller rooms and controls work presently. So this is an update of that slide, or that slide presentation. Next. We broke them down into priorities at the time, priorities 1 through 4. Next, please. And then they're broken down by mechanical, athletics, buildings and grounds, technology, architectural. That's a reminder of how it came together. Next, please. So what I've done is gone through and used the exact slides we used before, just highlighted in green those items that are either done, are in process, or are contracted to happen with the project we've got going right now. So real quick walking through the controls in the buildings, the building, most of that's high school. This section here is high school. So all the controls, the old outdated train controls. As we've updated equipment, we put in the new Schneider-based controls to bring those up to date. There's a number of units that haven't been replaced and probably won't be for a foreseeable future, depending on where budget fits those in. So they are outdated. So under the current project, we are going through the rest of the air handling units and updating those controls to Schneider. So there may be just a few ancillary pieces of equipment that will need to be picked up once everything's said and done. Then that takes care of the variable frequency drive. That's included in the next line. The chiller and pumps, we've done 1 chiller under the 3 projects. The other chillers, the rest of the chiller plant, I should say, and all of the pumps, getting rid of the cooling towers, that's all happening under the 26 project. So that item will be taken care of. The pumps there associated with that as well. And then updating the HVAC. Under the 3 projects, we've looked at the classroom areas for the high school and middle school, redoing those air handling units, those VAV boxes, those controls, as I mentioned. That's why it's kind of split in half. The rest of the units in the gyms, this hallway here, wrestling room, band, choir, those areas, cafeteria, those areas haven't been done yet. So those are the units that will need to be upgraded. The physical unit at some point, they will be getting new controls, as I just mentioned, in this year's project. And then we did replace a mixing valve in the mechanical room for the domestic water, so that is complete.
So Kevin, a question.
Yeah.
So for 2 questions, actually, you said the 26 budget, that's the one that's already been approved, you're working on. Right? And then you said you're going to replace the controls in some of the existing chillers, etc. Will those controls, then you'll take those off, when we replace those and put those on the new ones?
A portion of them will be used, but potentially, usually the controller can be reused, some of the sensors can be reused if it's staying in the ductwork. There are some controls that, freeze protection controls that go across the coils that you basically just trash those with the unit for a new one on the unit. So some of those controls can be reused, some will have to be
were the chillers delivered today?
Hadn't heard that, but I knew they were
I think
coming.
they were scheduled, the two that we're doing for this project. They're working on concrete to get it in that road, make that a level us. So that they can add that probably.
Great. Yeah, good question. Did we get both your questions? Okay. So priority one, and these are priority one items, I apologize, I should have mentioned that earlier. At the annex on the mechanical is the HVAC equipment there. So all the classroom unit ventilators, the boilers have been redone, and the pumps, those were done earlier. So you got an air handling unit for the gym, and then some other ancillary heating equipment, smaller exhaust fans, things of that nature. So none of that work has been done yet. We focus it on the high school, middle school.
Hasn't been done, but it's gonna be part of the project, will eventually be done, or it's for?
It has not been allocated into a project
Okay,
yet.
that's not.
There are decisions to be made.
Yeah. Replacing the lift station at the annex. So we originally started looking at the controls and the pumps for that, and as we got involved into it, found out that it was actually not deep enough, as it should be by code. So we got a whole new lift station out there as part of the project. Everything from the high school, middle school goes over to that lift station and then gets pushed on. So that was pretty important to get that taken care of. A PA system was something the school was working on at the time. That's been completed. Generator replacement. Generator over there has been updated and completed. Abandoned utilities in the crawl space or abating the asbestos that was down there. We did that. We took care of all the asbestos down there, re-insulated. All of that piping, that was a concern, but some of that was sealed off. Now that's open. You go down there and fix any repairs that might need to take place. So all that work has been completed.
So PA system, does that include the gym PA system?
I don't know. The school did all of that directly, so I
I
don't
can
know.
tell you right now.
And the reason I asked that is, a month ago, I was refereeing a basketball game, and one of my fellow referees said it's terrible. I said, okay. So that's why I asked.
The PA has to be adjusted sometimes. I'm not sure, you can kind of lock it off, but sometimes I don't know if it's, what it is exactly. We have Sound of Music come out and they recalibrate it and then it works just fine. Other times the batteries and the headset are wonky and that screws things up. That's not what you saw with the PA system. Our whole system is an old Duquesne system. It is super old and outdated. At the elementary school, if any parts break, there's nothing to replace them with. So we did a piggyback system through the school. Pat Bernardus had set that up when he was here. And they came in and they did it, and it still does not work right. What they did supposedly works, but it doesn't do what we want to do. To get it to where we want it to be, like to connect this building to this building, and then have the elementary, it's going to be hundreds of thousands. So we're looking at that for the future, but that is, it was done, but it didn't do all the way it was
We have to, when the PA system breaks at the elementary, we have to look on like eBay at like parts.
Uh,
good. Seriously, it's the original equipment that was there. But it's shocking how expensive the new PA system stuff is to get it into every room. And we want these two buildings connected. If there's an event, what we have to do now is they make the call here, but then somebody has to call over to that building, and they do it. So we want it to be simultaneous, and it apparently it's a lot harder than we
I
thought it
would
was.
say there's probably some type of first attempt, low cost attempt to try to get something to work.
Well, I think we were sold something that they weren't able to do, is what it sounds like to me by the time we're done with it.
So obviously there's a line item that we don't have at least associated price with. And then some of the buildings and grounds items, ceiling and masonry, sidewalk repairs, roof repairs, those items we do not, or have not done as part of the projects to date. Moving to the elementary, priority one, the MEP, we did add a generator. We did do restroom remodels for all of the restrooms. And then we obviously the staff restrooms redone and expanded. Playground, what started with drainage and a new piece of equipment, expanded into a completely new playground. Very, very extensive project, very nice to be proud of. It's a good playground. I still talk to people about that project. Roof repairs. The only reason I have that is because the storm necessitated some things for the gym and the roof to be redone, so I wanted to put that in there. Not that it was part of our project, but it has something that has been updated since this was put together. And then a loading dock or possible skid steer. Obviously, the skid steer was purchased with some attachments to help facilitate in that area. Removing the gym ceiling, we really looked hard at that. There were some architectural issues with insulation, some other things that was really going to drive the cost up to take that out, and decided at the end to leave.
We were hoping to get it in when the roof blew off. We were hoping to do it all at one time, but the cost was still high.
So priority 2 items, middle school, high school, MEP. We had a little bit of a leaking line out here in the front lobby where the lines went into the gym. We took care of that. Gym lighting controls are going to be done as those units are going to be recontrolled. We did not put a supplementary cooling system in the tech office. Cooling tower gearbox. Since we are replacing those with the new chiller systems, that doesn't have to be done. Boiler replacement, one boiler was replaced several years ago, or two boilers, sorry. There's still one old boiler sitting there, and then all the pumps and things are still old, so that's an item that has yet to be done. The lift station, this one at the high school, we were able just to do pumps and controls, didn't have to replace the whole thing. Iron filters. Originally, we were going in to replace those iron filters, and then talking with the subcontractor that the school uses, we had a less expensive rebuild option, so we were able to save some money in that regard and still get those things updated. And then drip protection to the gym units to make sure we capture any water if there's a leak, to protect the floor. There's big sheet metal pans and drains that have been added underneath those units, so that has been completed. As far as athletics and buildings and grounds, you can see a few things that haven't been done. Drainage for the backside of the field house. Track resurface, you'll see that coming up here later. Buildings and grounds, roof repairs, again, all buildings, you're gonna see that roof repairs. You got different stages of ages of roofs across your buildings.
Did Steve share with you all of the warranty information?
I have not seen anything new lately.
Okay, Steve Snyder went back and looked, and our roofs you're right, it's all over, it's like a patchwork. And then this section's got a 12-year warranty, and this one was done at a different time, so it's all over the place. But he figured it all out, so we know exactly. Most of them were good, I think, until 2030, but there was one section maybe it was 2027. So it's coming up here pretty soon.
Architecturally, the library had some good floor covering replacement in there. Obviously, the furniture was done, a little bit of lighting above the circulation desk. Some upgrades, and then furniture replacement across all the classrooms for student desks and chairs, and teacher desks and chairs was done high school, middle school. And at the annex, again, gutters and downspouts, and then the parking lot repairs. Parking lots are each building. You'll see more on that coming up as well. Those items hadn't been done, but we did continue with door replacement as we've done on different projects, and picked 3 more of those off and completed those. The elementary school, classroom vanities and faucets, we removed more than we reinstalled. We just kept the ones around the kindergarten classrooms and replaced those. Took the other ones out, put cabinets in their space in place for more storage. And then in the office, there was a kitchenette that was replaced and upgraded. Those included, the ones that went back, for the rest of them included little spacer heaters for the sinks underneath, instantaneous water heaters. Decibel split system in the server room there that we didn't get to, again, sidewalks and pavement. Back to the playground, which we talked about, and then removing and replacing carpet or tile. We've done some as part of previous projects, and now under this next project, there are 19 spaces in the elementary school that are going to be getting recarpeted. Some were done over Christmas break, the rest will be done over spring break. And then architecturally, furniture replacement, as we talked about at the high school and elementary, same students, desk chairs, teachers' desk chairs, as well as a lot of different chairs in a lot of the resource rooms around the elementary school. Those all replaced with new. Next. So scope, or priority 3 scope items, an ice machine, that's still not purchased, but we did get through all of the restroom sets for the high school and the middle school and did upgrades. And then a lot of the athletics, tennis courts, rebuilding, football locker, concessions, dugouts and press booth, press box, roofs, gutters and downspouts, the football field house, and replacing parking lot lighting in the back side of the high school, as well as replacing the line. Those items that being lower priority didn't get taken up. But gym bleacher upgrades and technology office flooring, those items were pulled in as part of the project. I think those bleachers look nice. You look at it. They did. Changing the colors. Not only did we do that, but we reversed the colors. So the bleachers were red and the walls were black. So now the walls are red and the bleachers are black. And it really stands out. The annex for scope 3 items, restroom remodels, didn't touch the restrooms there, building envelope improvements with windows, doors, fixing, cracking facades, and those things were not done, and then blinds as well there. And in the elementary, replacing a kitchen electrical panel and blinds. Those are priority 3, and I look at priority 4.
This light shows.
So there were some priority 4 items. I don't recall exactly what they were, but we didn't get too many of them as part of the previous projects. That's what you say.
We can't remember anything.
That's why it's just a blur.
I didn't pull through. It's interesting. So since then and here recently, as we've developed this last project with the project that's happening now, I mentioned completing the chiller room with all new chillers and pumps, so the old system will be completely gone, all new controls there. We're going through all the air handling units and recontrolling the existing units with new controls to get rid of the obsolete train controls. None of this is, what I'm talking about right now isn't up on the board. We're doing all the classroom, the 19 areas of floor covering over at the elementary school. And for the tennis courts, we're doing a crack fill of the cracks that are out there and a resurface, painting the surface and restriping. So that's part of the project that's going on for this summer. And I mentioned started over Christmas break with the flooring.
We did look. We know that when you have a tennis court, you've got cracks, they just return. And unless you do the whole thing, you gotta tear it all out, and you've gotta the cost of that was going to be a couple million, wasn't it?
It could be $1.2 million up to like $1.8 million, I think, depending on, so how many courts and what kind of surface to use, whether it's concrete or.
So we thought about the number of kids who play tennis, and what that service is, plus we have indoor tennis if we need it. So we thought the much better route was to use this armor crack repair, which would repair the cracks. We repaint, it'll look nice, it won't last as long, obviously, but the cost of the other was just so far out of whack that we just didn't feel like that was appropriate.
So as we pulled that together, obviously there are other items that didn't get done and started looking ahead. Steve asked for us to pull together some budgets on some of these big ticket items. So paving was one of those. You know, we mentioned that parking lots were noted in each of the buildings on the previous pages. So I reached out to a civil engineer that we've worked with in the past. He came out, met, we talked about traffic patterns, the way buses go, cars go, and then he walked all of the parking lots and came back just using some dollars per square yard figures to put together some rough numbers. So paving as a whole across the whole campus is around $5 million. You can see a breakdown between high school, annex, and elementary school. The high school, if you think about it, the front, east, and the south side all the way back behind to about the gate going into the football field, back behind the field house. And then the annex is the front of the field house all the way over, including the back lot back there. And then the drive going back by the baseball fields.
Would that be just paving, or would it be grinding down?
It's complete replacement. Yeah, his opinion was that you're beyond patch and pave Kicked the can doing that for years, and now if you really need to, in order to do it right, go in and grind it down. Look at any subsurface conditions where you might have unsuitable soils that need to be remediated. Had that on the football field, if you remember back in 15, 16, when we took the top layer off the soil, that had to be lime stabilized in order to take care of some unsuitable soils. A lot of times when you see major areas of breakdown, it's because of this, well, it's because of the subsurface working its way through and reflecting through the surface above. So it's more than likely you're going to find pockets of soil that needs to be remediated, either dug out, put back with stone, or stabilized with lime or concrete. So that is all included, and this is kind of a high budget number. All this is in today's dollars, not knowing when these pieces of scope might happen. So keep that in mind as well. Any questions on paving? So football turf, this is something that was done back in 15, was a 8 to 12 year lifespan. So each project that we've done, we've kind of looked at it. Randy Hammond's come out, he's walked, and he said, I think you can get a couple, 3 more years with this last go around. So again, that's probably the next project, probably really seriously looking at doing that. $500,000 for the turf itself, and then if you want to add a shock pad, another $175,000. So
We haven't done that at all.
the shock pad,
No, we haven't done the turf replacement
Have not.
since we put it in.
have not.
Yeah, this is the 10th year. I think it was 16 we put it in. And I think he said we could get 12 and 13 after he checked it out. It's in really good shape. He was really impressed how good it was. But that's a safety issue, so we really can't push that one down the road too far. So we felt like that one here in the next couple of years was a high priority.
Do we have a shock pad now?
Do not.
Just for
I'm stupid, what's a shock pad?
It's just an added pad that goes
Under
underneath
the
the
turf.
turf. Yeah.
So-
Makes it a little softer.
Oh,
Yeah, what you have now meets all standards, and the GMAX, I think, is a test that they do annually. They come out as long as you keep your fill good. It's just added protection. Track resurface and latex athletic surface. So when we did the project back in 15, 16, we just ground off the top and redid what was done, I think, around the track time the track was done. Put the new athletic surface down. So they say you can do that once. The next time you do it, you really have to go in and grind down, like we talked about the parking lots, the asphalt, repair any issues, and there is quite a bit of cracking. If you walk around that track, there's quite a bit of hairline cracks, and some starting to get a little bit bigger as you walk around, so there will be some subsurface areas that need to be taken care of. And then repave, and then come back with the athletic surface. So I made a note of the latex surface, because on the full track, so that's 300,000 is just doing a resurface and the coating, which if you want to go in and really do the full renovation down to the stone, which is, I think it was a 5-year for the track surface, 300,000. It was a 10 to 15 year for the 1.5 million is the full track renovation, and that's down to the stone and the remediation. And Fred from Context said a lot of schools, really if they're big track schools, imagine a lot of them around the circle down in Indy, are going to a poly coating in lieu of that latex for longevity and probably performance, I would guess. That's an extra, that's 200,000. So that's included in the 1.5, 1.3 without that.
So the 1.5 and 300 are exclusive, mutually exclusive. you
That's
said?
correct. You do one or the other.
he made it seem like when we talked to him that the resurface was not a good option at this time. But the difference is staggering.
And obviously, when the time comes to look at that next project, it would be beneficial to bring him or someone like him in to walk through these options and explain it in more detail so that they can understand and make a good decision on how you'd like to move forward. And he mentioned he's happy to do that. We talked about lighting. It started with tennis court lighting, as we were looking at doing tennis courts, because the poles sit right in the middle of the tennis courts. Typically, they're on the perimeter. So the cost to do that was a couple, $300,000 to move them to the outside. So a cheap, inexpensive option was reusing the poles and putting the lights back where they're at, and upgrading some of the electrical controls that goes with that for $110,000. And then that starts thinking, well, we got football lights out there too. What would be the cost of doing football field lighting? And that would be $360,000.
Didn't we just have the football just a few years ago, had it all redirected and the lighting changed out?
They just changed out the bulbs and made sure they were working. They're not LEDs. I'm not sure we're ready to go to that. It's a really cool system. It's brighter, it goes to the music, it does all kinds of stuff, but they're LEDs. We're still with those old bulbs.
While he was out looking at the lighting, he had the price of it. Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be awesome. My point being this stuff here, we need to look a year or two down the road. I mean, the school's got to be here before we need all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? The tennis court lighting, we need to shut it off anyway at night. I mean,
We're not doing the tennis court lighting.
we're going to have to scrutinize some of this stuff because we're just not going to have the funds to do
Absolutely.
it. Right? I mean,
No, we talked about the tennis court lighting, but we knew we probably weren't going to do that. And that was when we made the decision not to tear it out and redo them, just to kind of Band-Aid over it. They're really not terrible overall. There's just some cracks that run through them, but a lot of people come here and play and say that ours are some of the better courts in town, so.
Kevin, back to the field house out there. What all did you guys do out there, or what are you planning to do out there?
But we're not planning to do anything at this moment. What we've done in the past, after you went through and did your renovation, we replaced the heating unit that was out there. That was back as part of the 15-16 project. So that's the only thing we've done. There was an issue that the school took care of with one of the back corners, I think, was starting to drop.
Yeah.
So we fixed that, and I think part of the continuation of that solution is to provide some additional training.
The whole reason I ask this is because some of them in the floor, it was messed up. The ventilation system's never been good there. The showers are just trash. I didn't know if we were going to do any upgrades to.
We haven't looked at anything for that. I think maybe we did as one of the listed items previously, but we have not done anything with that.
I'm just saying that would be something athletic that probably needs to be done before a couple of these things.
Yeah, and certainly we could look at those things. So I guess just steps, that's the same thing we talked about last time, evaluating your bonding options and establishing a long-term plan. But you started to do that with setting up your next project and then looking ahead toward that future project, prioritizing your scope items to fit your plan and your budget. We're always available to provide any preliminary engineering that's needed to help prioritize and further refine pricing and move you closer toward making those final decisions to get to final scopes and pricing and contracts. Questions, short, sweet?
How do you coordinate PA systems?
We have a company, a sister company, ASG, and actually our security group does some. It just depends on what the requirements are, what the desires are.
David, you have the PA system quotes that Pat left you?
Program somewhere.
We can look those up and find them. I know it's not pretty, but
I think the cheapest option, if I'm remembering, was just $100,000 was like
it
the
was much more
cheapest.
than that.
No, I think the cheapest.
Oh,
and that-
originally, but then that wasn't gonna work because.
There was like option one, and that was just using what we have now and hopefully to Band-Aid it together. But, I mean, they need like new wires ran everywhere, and it was using the old stuff we had and just kind of.
Yeah, it sounds like from your detained that they don't longer make those, if they're obsoleted. You would need all new, it's all new, DOE or Cat 6, Cat 5 wires that need to be run. Depending on the systems that we have, we've had phone systems that we've installed with a third-party vendor that have VA, all these communications for the teacher on there. We've had clock systems that we've installed that have speakers on the clock. You can do it that way, and there's a number of things that you can do, and prices will vary across the board. Sure.
You gotta remember, looking at that, the prices, we have 4 million available coming up, and unless we can get this next one approved, moving forward, which we wouldn't even be able to get to it until something else dropped off here in a couple of years, so we'd be a few years out on a lot of that anyway.
Steve, I know Steiner's not here, but there was something mentioned last month, we were talking about additional monitoring and communication controls with some of this stuff that between buildings or within buildings.
That's what he was talking about earlier, was, we're not finished yet with all of the HVAC stuff we put in. Because you're talking about in relation to that thing we had with, Strataline,
Yes.
right? Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one where the controls weren't working properly, so at night we were using too much energy.
Yeah, controls just aren't completed to the point where they get commissioned and run through the process. So they identified that when they was through, and we're working through getting those things completed.
Are the monies appropriated for that already, or is that something that's going to be?
We have almost all of it appropriated and ordered, right? With the rest of the, this building.
All the controls, yeah.
When will that be done?
That's a good question. I think they are doing some now, and then from now through summer, the end of summer, to go through those units and maybe even beyond.
It's hard because they're in the roofs and kids are in the building. It's hard to do some of that work with the kids around that.
Some of it is done and being commissioned, put in the process. Some has not been recontrolled, and we're doing that as we can during breaks, summers.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Happy to come back anytime and provide any further information.
He didn't have my sauna and whirlpool for my office on there yet, but it's.
Oh, it's coming. It was-
Yeah.
It was hidden in one of those other things.
Well, I did take off the additional air conditioning for the superintendent's office that we had for previous administration.
Well, the sauna, we're just gonna crank the heat up in the summer.
It's funny because every time we have a meeting with teachers, they're like, gosh, I'm so glad he's not here now. Because they couldn't have a meeting. It was like 50 degrees every time he was in the building.
I did get some loan stuff together. Do you guys want that?
Yeah, we got time.
I thought you, was it already in front of me?
No, because I.
Oh, you didn't do it? Okay.
Sorry.
This one.
This is just, you guys asked, not a lot, but I kind of knew it might be coming up. With what loans we have, what their payments are, and when they're falling off.
Yeah.
So, the first line was so long, it goes to line number 2. It's a little bit.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, I didn't get in here in time to you. So the project that Kevin was talking about, the big one, is the 23 building projects bond. The little $4 million one, the smaller, $4 million bond is the 25 projects bond. That's how I have
Okay, where do we see that? We're not gonna tell what's what.
We're going across?
Yeah. So which one's the 23?
23 is the very bottom line.
25 right there.
23 is the bus. Oh, this is the.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything falling off until 20, at the end of 27, that's fairly small.
Yeah, it was, I want to say we had to buy 4 or 5 buses.
Yeah, but then the next one doesn't fall off until 33.
That's 2018 construction.
Yeah.
Is that how I read this? Oh.
So with doing the smaller projects, they can kind of do smaller payments spaced out longer than the big, like those, that 2018 project, or construction bond was the field house, the activity center field house here.
Right.
I kind of forget the total of it off the top of my head though.
So does this say we really can't do anything until 23? Is that how we read this for that? I mean, in terms of a bigger bond?
We could do some littler ones and start the payments in 28.
But that'd have to be pretty small.
Yeah.
I mean, it couldn't even be $4 million, could it?
Well, the $4 million bond, its payment is around $360,000.
Okay. So that's double what was falling off in 27.
Yeah, so we're looking at 2033.
That's
the next big one.
This one, yeah. I don't want to see this, Michelle, or
Yeah.
Renee. I don't wanna see
Okay,
this.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
We're lucky that all the HVAC and stuff has been redone, because that's your biggest things, you know?
The biggest stressor on the budget will be the parking lots.
Yeah.
And that may be something where we have to go out and figure out what are the worst locations and do it by spot. Is, I mean, it's more than their bond is worth to complete it,
Right.
the whole thing. Especially if we're gonna try to do the turf and the track.
But we can't wait till 2033, I don't think, to redo the football field and the track. I mean, they were fairly small dollars relative to speaking, but I don't think we're that long to do some of them.
Yeah, that would be
Even if you,
16 or 17 years with
Yeah.
that turf
Yeah.
before it's changing.
Exactly.
even if you issue the bond, I mean, it still takes a couple of years to get it to actually go through and, like the whole project to finish off and we can start our payments and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we'll get all the details on how much and when. We'll talk to Steve Moore. Then we can get you an idea on that.
So we've already approved the $4 million bond.
There's no time restrictions. That was what we approved last year before.
Right.
And there's no time restrictions on when we have to use that. We can keep it in our back pocket.
Clear till 2033, for example? I mean,
I'm not sure if we can keep it that long, but I
you
can
just
ask.
said no restrictions.
Well, I mean,
You can, actually.
you can.
Yeah, I think the only restriction
I
is
don't-
once you acquire the money, you have to spend it in 3 years.
So once you sell the bonds,
Sorry.
yeah.
Once you sell-
Once you sell bonds,
Yeah.
acquire the funds, you have to spend it in 3 years.
Oh, okay. We haven't done that yet.
So we're gonna sell them and sit on $4 million for
Could
3
you
years
sell
and
them?
get the interest.
Can you sell them in pieces?
Didn't we have
We
two
have to-
separate ones when we got this, back in 50 or 60 when we did this? Wasn't there two separate ones we were working on? We got one for the first half and there was another one.
Yeah, but I think those reach $4 million, wouldn't they?
I thought each were four, that's what I'm getting at, it would have been 8. That's what I'm like,
Right. But
15,
can we do-
16, we did 4 $2 million projects.
Maybe that's
We were
what-
limited to $2 million at the time. Then they changed legislation, so the last runs that I think you called 23, we started with 24, there were 3 $6 million projects.
So the $4 million bond we have approved, we haven't sold.
We have it authorized to do.
Right. Can we do that in pieces? Can we sell $1 million worth of bonds, for example, and
I think
keep
you
the other
probably-
$3 million in our pocket?
I think you could, but I think it would take, like, for instance, if you want to do the turf and the track,
Right.
well, that's gonna cost you at least 2. And then the parking lot is, I mean, it was 5 million, so we'd have to pick that apart. So, I mean, I don't even know if it would benefit us to do them in small things. Because 2 projects would take everything.
And then you're paying cost of issuance each time.
Yeah.
So,
Plus, it might not get cheaper if you wait either.
Yeah.
No, all the costs are going up.
Okay, any more questions for Kevin? No, he's not feeling good, we'll get him out of here. Everybody good?
Yep. Go home.
No, I just want to
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.